Okay. All right, we're ready to start. This represents the Lafayette, Indiana Monon car shops, January 10, 1958. That was the effective date of a name change that resulted in a difference in the reporting marks. They went from CIL to MON. Go ahead to the next slide. Just a general statement of what we're going to do here. This was a presentation I did back in 2019, right before COVID, so I only done it once. Go ahead to the next one. Some of the folks that I credit with being of assistance in developing this thing or influencing me throughout my modeling career. Go ahead. And the first thing we want to deal with is painting the Monon's signature paint and lettering scheme. Next. This is what everybody seems to know the Monon by, is this paint lettering scheme that had the white stripe on the top with the black "The Hoosier" line, and then white lettering on a boxcar red car. I'm not gonna try to read all the detail stuff. Just explain that there were two variations to this paint scheme. The one variation was applied by Pullman Standard, and so all cars that were built by Pullman Standard and this paint scheme applied had black ends and black roofs. That was the difference between the two schemes. Go ahead to the next one. So the announcement came out on January 10th, 1956, that the reporting marks were going to change because the Monon had re-entitled itself to, from Chicago, Indianapolis, and Louisville, the CIL reporting marks, to Monon Railroad, and it was MON period or MON. And in some cases, the MON was left off, as you'll see in some of the paint schemes we see. But this was the announcement. And after that, the railroad got busy and tried to change as many of the reporting marks as possible by just simply patching them out. Go ahead. This is the second variation to that signature paint scheme. This is what was applied by the Monon Railroad. This particular car was built in 1941 and was repainted sometime after 1952. And the difference is there were no black roof, no black ends. The same color that was used on the side was used on the ends, and it's kind of iffy whether the roof got painted at all. And that's it. Go to the next slide. So how do we do this? We're going to paint one of these cars. The first thing we've got to do is paint it a light primer gray. Now, I'm an old guy, and I've still got a stash of Flocal, so I'm going to speak in terms of Flocal. And those of you who are using more modern paints, I'm sure you've had to make those changes, and you'll have a conversion chart of some kind. But a light gray primer is what we want to start with. Go ahead. The next step is we want to prepare the white stripe on top, which isn't really white. I use Scale Coat 2 M&W Gray. They call it MNW. It's Maintenance of Way Gray. And you want to paint the top third of the sides, the doors, and the ladders, this very light gray paint. Next. The next step is to then mask that stripe across the top. It's 27 inches. That 27 inches comes from official painting diagrams from the railroad, and you need to mask off 27 inches of the sides, 27 inches of the doors and the ladders. Next. And let's talk about tape for just a second. I use drafting tape. Got less stickum on it, so less risk of pulling paint off.
Incoming voice call from +1 31929.
Okay, are we back?
Yes.
Are we there?
Yeah,
Yes.
we're back. We're good.
Oh, okay. Where was I? Okay, the masking tape. Yeah,
Right.
I use that because it's got less stickum. If you're not worried about pulling paint off, you could use something else. But I know I've used that for years, and it's just made it easy. Now, the thing you do with any tape that you buy commercially is you lay it on a piece of glass and cut a new edge on it. The factory cut edges, by the time they get to you, are pretty beat up, and they don't offer you a straight edge. So you want to do that particular function to your tape before you use it. And of course, in this case, if you want to cut a piece 27 inches wide, you can do that and just lay it right on there. So go ahead to the next slide. Okay, the next step, we cover the entire sides, and then we go ahead and apply, in this case, the black if you're doing the Pullman scheme. So you'll put the black and the roof and the black ends. Go to the next slide. And what I didn't show you, I think I've got myself out of order there. After you've go back 2 slides, Greg, see if I can catch that. Okay. After you've painted the top stripe there, you mask off and it's already masked, mask it off, and then paint the remainder of the sides and the ends of the car. That's how you get the red car with the red ends and the red roof. Now go to the next slide. If you're applying the black roof and the black ends, now you mask off the entire side and apply the black to the roof and the ends, and you've got the Pullman scheme. Next slide. That's what the finished product looked like. This is car 783, one of the models we'll try to deal with tonight. It was painted at the Lafayette shops. Therefore, it had the brown ends and roof. Look at the prototype photo for lettering placement, and Model Railroad Supply makes the decals. Next. Here's another example of that paint scheme, one of the cars we're going to look at. On 9006, when they put the Monon on, they didn't feel the MON was required, and at some point, that was the way it was done. The Pennsylvania didn't put PRR on their cars, and a number of other railroads the same. So they used the MON and no MON reporting marks, as on 9006. Go ahead. This is a model of a Pullman standard painted car. And as you can see, we have black roof and black ends. So this car, and here's the key, January 10th, 1956, if it was built after that time, and this car was built in 57, it automatically has the MON reporting marks, no patch out needed. And this is a KD car. I asked KD if they'd like to produce this in HO scale painted Monon, and they said no. So I had to paint my own. And this is what they look like. The Missouri Pacific car, if you wanted to build this model, the Missouri Pacific car is correct for the Monon model. Go ahead. So general detailing for post-World War II steel box cars. We want to add the retainer valve, but one thing to keep in mind with any of this is always start with the ladder. The ladder's got to fit. And once the ladder fits, you could put the retainer valve on and you could put the handbrake on, but you pretty much got to go left to right to make sure it all fits. That comes from the fact that some of our model parts aren't as close to prototype in dimensions as we would like them to be, and therefore there might be a little bit of adjustment from side to side to make sure everything fits. But we want a retainer valve on every model, and then we want a 008 or 010 line running straight out of the bottom of that. Go ahead. This shows the bottom of the retainer line, how it's routed, and then there's a bracket. Now, I've modeled the bracket with a piece of 1x3 stock or 010 by 030 strip, and then I added Archer rivet to it. What keeps the line there is if you take a piece of fine armature wire and wrap it around the line, drill a hole where you want it to be attached to the end of the car. A number 78 hole will be fine. Put both ends of the armature wire through that, and that'll pull the line down tight. Then just kink it from the inside and give it a drop of ACC to keep it in place. And that's how you basically make a bracket for the retainer line. And you do the same thing for the brake rod also. Go ahead. I like the KD brake wheels, and in order to use them, I have to take the brake housing that's furnished with the kit. You'll notice I put a little backing there to give it some strength when I attached it to the car. You'll need to drill a number 55 hole in it to accept the KD brake wheel. Also, notice below that there's a chain that winds up into that mechanism. Now, that chain is pretty giant in compared to what the real ones look like. Um, 40 or 50 links per inch is about all we can get in HO scale. That's 40 links per inch. But you want to drill a small hole up under the brake housing and put a pin in there that will then hold that chain on the top end. Go to the next one. Okay, we get to the bottom of the chain, which will usually extend right below the brake step. You take a 012 wire, bend a 90 degrees in it, and drill a hole through the or into the end, and then shove that bottom link of the chain and the rod into that hole, and that becomes your chain and rod that goes to the rest of the brake system. Next one. Okay, when we get down to the bottom, you see we've used one of those brackets again. When we get down to the bottom of the brake rod, we need a clevis that goes on the bell crank. That clevis is a titchy turnbuckle that's been cut in half there, and it's been drilled out so it'll slide up um, the brake rod, and then it's just a matter of fitting it all in place and adding a drop of ACC to make sure everything stays in place. Go ahead. Okay, this shows you the clevis and bracket, and it also the the clamp that holds the brake rod in place. Go ahead. Another shot of the same thing. Go ahead. Now, I typically prefer the number 78 uh, KD brake, uh, or yeah, KD coupler. They're pre-assembled, and they're closest as you can get with that coupler pocket as to what's really on the prototype. You have to trim off a little bit of the frame, which extends beyond the bolster in order to get this thing to fit. But then it slides in there, and you've got two holes, and you drill through, and you can attach those with the screws they furnish with the coupler. I used to just put one screw in, and I found that the coupler didn't like to, it liked to pivot. So the second screw goes in, and then we don't have any problem with everything picking. Uh, yeah, everything's spinning around. Now I weather the couplers prior to installation, so that's all taken care of. Um, Go ahead to the next one. Okay, the coupler cut levers are installed in an eye bolt. Precision Scale makes a tiny eye bolt, which is really good for that. That's located on the upper part of the model there. Then I terminate the cut lever in the bottom of the coupler pocket. There's a pretty good sized lip down there, so you can drill a number 78 hole down there, and it'll accept that cut lever and keep it secure. But you can still pop it out if you need to uh, open up the coupler box for some reason. And I like the tangent coupler cut levers. Basically, uh, Detail Associates quit making them, or as far as I know, they have. And Tangent makes a nice line of different shapes, and I think the 204 is the one I like the best. So go ahead. Air hose brackets on a Pullman standard car, you really don't see an hose bracket sticking out. On the PS ones, I'm sorry, on the older Pullman cars, there was a bracket like the one you see in the top, which is a precision scale part. And the thing you want to do when you mount the precision scale part is drill the part that accepts the air hose out with a number 75 drill. And that could get a little tedious, might break a bit or two, but you'll get there and you'll get good at doing it. The one on the lower side is nothing more than an eighth or handrail stanchion that I use like an eye bolt. I've got a bunch of old handrail stanchions, and they look okay. They're recessed back of the end sill. So excuse me. They're recessed back of the end sill so they don't show very much, but that's where you put your air hose. Go to the next one. I like to use the high-tech details rubber air hoses. Uh, the way I get them to fit is on the freight car end. I cut a really gentle angle so I can thread that thing into whatever is going to hold it in place. And sometimes you have to pull it through, but it stretches out, pulls through, and then when you take the pressure off, it gets fat again and stays right there. When you paint these things, you want to paint the portion of the rubber air hose that's the angle cock the same color as the car. The air hose is black, and contrary to popular opinion, the glad hand down at the bottom of the air hose is not silver. It's rusty. I remember as a teenager learning how to couple a caboose into a freight car and how dirty I got doing that because of all that rust. So don't paint them silver, paint them a rust color. Next. Um, I like KD bracket grab irons, and I use them everywhere I can because they're the best detailed offering out there at this time. The KD brackets come with 4 prongs. Most of our models come with two places for prongs, not 4. The easy way to get there, and you'll see I've mounted the KD bracket grabs on both sides of the car as well as on the end, is I snip 2 of those off, matching the available holes, or I drill 2 holes and snip off the prongs to make sure they fit in my holes. But you only need 2 prongs for these things. And a lot of times, like with intermountain kits and branch line kits, I believe, the holes match. You just got too many prongs. You snip a couple of prongs off, and those things go right on. They're the best looking grab irons you can get. Go ahead. Sometimes your tack boards aren't what they look like on the prototype. They're not just a big blob that's glued on. There's some bracketry involved. So here we have 010 by 030 strips, which are the brackets. Then the boards are actually mounted. They're 010 by 040 strips make up the boards, and there's a 10 by 30 strap that goes on top of that. Add Archer fine transfer rivets, and you've got a tack board that matches the prototype. Go ahead. I guess if anybody's got any questions, I suppose you ought to yell them out or write them down, one or the other. KD makes the best variety of brake wheels, and I recommend them. And they're molded in 3 colors, so a lot of times you don't even have to paint them. This is their Ajax brake wheel. It's been installed in one of the models. Go ahead. The brake step. You really want to kind of watch that. I built one car that had wood roof walks, and guess what? The brake step was wood also. So sometimes you're cutting a piece of wood. Other times it's an etched piece of metal. The way to do that is take the piece that's furnished with the kit, which is usually not a very good molding, and go to your etched roof walk material. I have some KD leftover stuff that I can use, and there's several kinds of Morton and I forget the other names, or a piece of wood, whichever it is. But you can use that one furnished with the kit as the pattern to cut what you need, and then the bracketry below is what was furnished with the kit. This gives you a better looking and more authentic brake step. Go ahead. We want to make sure we've got the kit or the car weighing as much as it's supposed to. And once you seal it up, you're not going to be able to get inside and add weight. So this is a good time to weigh the whole kit, trucks, wheels, and everything, couplers, and determine what the total weight is, and then use the NMRA scale to get the exact weight that the car should be for its length. I usually allow a quarter to a half an ounce more, as I like my cars nice and heavy. I use the A-line self-adhesive weights, um, which are not going to be available any longer, I guess. So you can get them at the auto parts store. I believe there are weights that'll do the same thing, stick in the bottom, or you can cut a piece of lead. You've got all kinds of ways to put the weight in there. But whatever you do, don't use a solvent cement to attach the weights. Uh, Once closed up in there, it can cause the car to warp and all kinds of strange things happen to it. So use a non-organic glue, craft cement, something like that. I think canopy cement would be great for that. Go ahead. The most famous boxcar on the Monon was number one, and there were several advertisements about it. They and the Monon even advertised the travels of the car during 1948 and 1949, kept track of everywhere it went. So when Greg publishes this clinic, you can go back through there and look, and maybe the Monon number one was actually on your railroad. It went coast to coast over that time period. So go to the next slide. That's the list I was talking about. Go ahead and go to the next one. That thing went everywhere. So here's what the number one looked like when it was first built. And the reason Monon has a number one car goes back to the president of the company, John Barringer. And Barringer started out, and this is what this is as the story goes. Barringer started out as a car clerk on the Pennsylvania Railroad, and he soon became tired of writing 5 and 6 digit freight car numbers as every train passed and had to jot them down. So he decided he was going to fix that when he became president of the Monon. So he started with the number one. So the first car in the largest or the second largest single boxcar purchase. Oh, I'm sorry. The first car in the largest single boxcar purchase that the Monon ever made was number one, and the last number was number 500. Go ahead. Um, like I said, there were 500 cars. They were built in 1948. This is what they looked like, and they were not PS1s. They were a predecessor to the PS1. So what you had was the all welded sides like the PS1 had, but we still had the dreadnought ends, and we still had square panel roofs. Go ahead to the next one. There was also something amazing about number one. It seems that somewhere during 1948 or 1949, the advertising showed that it had a um, camel door on the car, as you can see in the picture to the left, when the prototype had a 7 panel superior door. What could have happened here? Go to the next slide. Well, as it turns out, when we did a little digging, the public relations department needed a picture of Monon car number one, and it was in San Diego. So the way to fix that was they took another car and renumbered it and took a picture of it. And it was a car from that series, but it wasn't the number one. But it was obviously from the last 250 of the cars. Those are the ones that got the camel corrugated doors versus the first 250 that got the panel doors. So there was a little sleight of hand there that was pulled by the railroad, and it can throw a lot of modelers off if you don't know what you're looking at. Go ahead. So the Monon number one always carried the railroad's latest paint scheme. So in 19 this paint scheme came about in 1952 and lasted until 1957. Go ahead. Records show it was painted in 1954 into this paint scheme. And what we're seeing here is the car is inside the Lafayette car shops, and it's being the reporting marks are being changed from CIL to MON. So if you're modeling from 1952 to 1954, you will have CIL number one if you model this car. After that, it's MON number one until the car was repainted. And we're not sure when it got its last paint scheme. Go ahead. We think this was the last paint scheme, and it was applied probably around 1969, and uh, uh, and this was what it carried into the L&N merger in 1971. All of There was a rebuilding program in 1969 that consumed 427 of the 1 to 500 series cars. And it's unknown if number one made it into that rebuild series or not. There are rumors, but I don't think we need to spread the rumors about what car we think it was because we don't know. Go ahead. So let's build number one. And where you start is with a branch line 1944 AAR 40-foot boxcar. That's one with 10.6 interior height. It's got 4.4. You want the 4.4 improved dreadnought ends. Now, with a branch line undecorated kit, you get your choice of ends, choice of roofs, and a few other details. So we know it's a 10.6 model. We want the 4.4 improved dreadnought ends. We want the Burvey square panel roof, and it's going to be a 10 panel side car, but we're going to make a change in that. If you'll notice here, and go ahead to the next slide, the first thing you've got to do is clean all those rivets off the sides. It was a 10 panel welded car, and this is a 10 panel riveted car. So we slice all those rivets off. The way I do it is I use an X-Acto number 17 chisel blade knife. I've sharpened it so many times on that whetstone that my dad gave me that the corners are round on that number 17 knife, which is great because that way the corners don't dig into the side of the car when you cut it off. You do want the knife sharp because it'll rip the rivets out instead of cut them, and you end up with little depressions, and you really don't want that. Once you've removed all of the rivets, then sand those areas with 400 and 600 grit wet dry sandpaper, and you end up with a pretty smooth surface. Go ahead. Um, there's some work to do on the side sill. You look at the prototype photos and it shows that we need to fill in a certain area and we need to beef up the bolster tabs, as you can see there. And that's done 020 by 060 strip stock is what we use on the to extend the size of the tabs to the left, and then the bolsters are beefed up with 020 by 020 styrene strips. And you put them on there and then cut them to size once you've got them on there. Uh, Also, it's time to add a towing loop right in there. There'll be 4 of those on the car. 012 wire wrapped around a number 50 drill bit is about the right size for that, and you could drill up into the car side and it'll slide right up in there. Go ahead. Well, I'm sorry, I should have told you to use 010 wire for the towing loop. Now, the end attachment's a critical part of building this kit, and the ends don't always seat up well to the core part of the car. So what I've learned over time is the best way to get that end to lay down there nice and flat is to drill out or waller out the holes that they're supposed to fit into so that there's no restriction from getting the end to lay flat against that end panel on the core. Once you've enlarged those holes, it'll push right in. Then it's an easy matter to take a couple of clamps, and I use a piece of 040 styrene to spread the clamp pressure. That'll get it down nice and tight against the ends, and then add solvent cement from the inside of the body through those holes that you made just a little bit larger, and you get ends that fit down really tight. Go ahead. Before you attach the ends, there's a couple of things you need to deal with. Uh, the details you're going to add and the details that they want you to add are two different things. And therefore, there's going to be holes for things you won't use. So unless you know you've got a certain hole you're going to use, drill them all out with a number 61 drill and shove 035 rod stock in there and trim it close and then sand it smooth with 400 to 600 grit sandpaper. This is best done while the end is not on the car. And well, go ahead. I've got another thing to talk about. We'll get back to the ends here. The underbody is right as long as you've got the right car. They made some of these kits with the underframe orientation backwards. And then I know a guy that lived in my body about 12 years ago that put one of them on backwards because he wasn't paying attention. So either way, if you have to reverse everything, you may have to do that. You've got to remember that the air cylinder or the brake cylinder piston, the piston end needs to be facing the B end of the car. So establish the B end of the car first, and then mount the underbody accordingly. If you have to make that modification, you can make a new triple valve mounting location, which is what is done here, and everything will work out fine. That's the only problem I found with the cars that weren't built right and their orientation was backwards. Go ahead. Okay, this is the new triple valve mounting lug, and it also shows you that you want to, once you install, well, first of all, go to the center of the body, and there'll be a lug there. You want to carve that lug out because it'll keep the frame from fitting down tight. Then once you've got the frame in there, lock it down tight with clamps, and then add solvent cement so that the thing bonds closely. And you want to do that throughout the length of the car. And this also shows the new triple valve mounting, which is just made out of scrap and put a 55 hole in it for the triple valve. Go ahead. The door for this car is from the Intermountain PS1, and it's right. It's a 7-panel door, which is accurate for numbers 1 through 250 in this series of Monon cars. Add the branch line details as you get with the branch line kit, the track board and the routing cardboard. And go to the next slide. Now we've got to locate those weld seams, and it's pretty easy to do. First of all, airbrush the sides of primer gray, so they're easier to work with. Then use your calipers, and rather than give you some sort of dimension, just go to the car that one of these cars that has the rivets, and just use that dimension. The rows of rivets are where the weld seams are on this particular car, or you can go to a PS1 and get the same measurements. And so then you mark those and go to the next slide. Lay out a pencil line, a sharp pencil line for each of those rows of rivets. Next. And then for this particular case, we're cutting weld seams to length. And the way you deal with that is you soak them in and get a hold of one end and drag the thing clear across the car and move it around a little bit until it's straight. And those lines that you drew were part of that, and help you keep them straight. And once there, don't worry about decal film or anything like that. Paint makes that all go away. Just make sure you've got it right there in the right spot. And don't apply the Archer rivets to bare styrene. That doesn't work. They need some paint to adhere to, like this primer. Also, you'll notice there's a row of rivets on the ends. That nice tight end that we put on worked great, but the rivets just really aren't very well done on the sides of those end moldings. So I went ahead and scraped them off and put a new set um, of Archer rivets in that place. Uh, Go to the next slide. The roof, BL2 is smart. They give you where the holes should be. So if your car requires a roof walk, you can just drill those holes. Guess what? The best roof walk in the business is KD. And if you drill number 55 holes in that roof, it will accept the KD running boards. So that's a done deal. Go ahead. Here's a set of the KD running boards installed, and I think the roof has already been painted. I think that's the original color of the KD running board. The good news with KD running boards is it eliminates a tedious job. First of all, you don't have to build the end supports that come already on the KD running boards, and they're a perfect fit. And then you also have the corner grabs that are molded on those, and they're fine enough in detail that you don't want to change them. So the KD running board's a really good deal. Go ahead. Once you've mounted the running boards, you've got the pins that are exposed, drop of ACC or hobby cement, either one, or that canopy cement will do it, and that keeps it in place. Go ahead. This is just a little tour of the bottom of the car, just to give you an idea. The A-line sill steps are in number 75 holes. We have the precision scale fine eye bolts, tangent coupler cut levers, uh, the KD number 78 coupler pockets. The screws are 3/8 inch long, and I since now use a different kind of screw. I don't use that round head screw anymore. I use a flathead screw. Still use the 3/8 256 screw. And then in this particular case, because it's the particular car we're modeling did not have a coupler or a air hose bracket that stuck out. I've got an 1/8 handrail stanchion stuck in there. And then lastly, the Tichy, the handrails at the bottom, on the bottom of the sill, the end sill, the 18-inch straight grabs are a good fit there. Just slide them in and a drop of ACC. On the weld seams, don't forget there's a seam that goes across the bottom, and then at the end of every seam, top and bottom, there is a rivet. And it's pretty easy to add a rivet, or you might even have been able to not scrape them off, the original ones off. But that's what this looks like when it's pretty well complete with all those details on prior to painting. You'll notice on the kit supplied sill steps, I mounted them, and then I cut them off even with the bottom of the sill, and put the A-line metal strips in behind that, behind those sill tabs to make it look like it's attached to the side of the car. Go ahead.
Mon, what are you using for the weld seams?
That is Archer Fine Transfers, the rivet people. They also make
Okay.
weld seams.
Okay, cool.
Do they still make those? I thought
Yeah,
Archer
as far
was
as I know,
gone.
they-
I
they're
thought
back.
Archer. Oh,
Yeah, they're back, Dave.
good.
The bad news is A-line looks like it's going out. So everybody's starting to figure out how they're going to make their own sill steps. Okay, this is just a little review of the end details that we have here. The only thing I haven't installed is the brake step, and that's coming later. But really, this is just a list of everything I've told you. I don't think I'll go into it any further. So let's just go to the next slide. We do need an 8-rung ladder on the end there, but the truss plate. That's something that was unique to the Monon car, and I was able to roughly scale it out So I just carved one out of a 010 styrene. It was about 12 by 24 with the corners rounded, and I added a couple archer rivets, glued it on, and added archer rivets to make that little detail. Go ahead. Oh, one thing you got to remember about truss plates is that sometime in their lives they come off because they're supposed to. So you might be modeling a car before it was paid for or after it was paid for. So anyway, this is a finished model of number 13, and it embodies all the things that we've done here. It's been painted and weathered, and this is basically how it looked like when it was in the paint scheme that it was delivered in. Notice the Pullman Standard just to the left of the door where Pullman Standard puts their logo as that car having been built at their plant in Michigan City, Indiana. The next slide. This is a car from the second series. Use the door furnished with the kit for this one. Otherwise, everything's the same. And here we have another car that was from the second part of that 500 series of cars. Believe me, I need more than 2 of these cars to represent a 500 car lot on the Monon. This was the most often seen group of cars on the railroad. Go ahead. And here's a picture of my number 1 as finished, and I'll let it roll around the layout. It's also derailed, and for Doug tells me about it. Go ahead. There's another shot of it here, I think. Yeah, there it is outside the shops. Go ahead. You notice the top band is not white, it's gray. Go ahead. Now we come to Monon 783. I ran into this ad, and it shows that a couple of Monon boxcars got wrecked. And Pullman is advertising that the Monon was able to take 2 of their PS1s that were wrecked and put them back together, and they would have a new or a car that was as good as new, and that was because of the standardization of the parts of the Pullman PS1. Now go ahead and go to the next slide. Here's the finished product. The Monon pulled it outside and took a picture of it for use by Pullman Standard. And I thought everything was hunky-dory, and I was really happy to see this. And until one of my friends at the Monon Society put the picture down in front of me and said, "Here's a good car for you, Mon." And I got to looking at it, and 783 is supposed to be a PS1 that was built in, I don't know, 52 or something like that. And but it had a dreadnought end, not a PS1 proprietary end. Now, what happened? So I got to looking at the ads and all that information, and as it turns out, the Monon wrecked 2 cars all right, but one of them wasn't a PS1. It was a pre-PS1. So what they did was they took the pre-PS1 end and grafted it onto the wrecked PS1, and we think the roof is a PS1 roof, sides are PS1 sides, and the door is obviously a camel door. So that was original equipment to the 783, but we have a hybrid here. So go to the next slide. This shows that this work was done July 56, so it's going to have MON reporting marks. And as you can see, they chose to eliminate MON and just put the big word Monon up there and then 783 down at the bottom. But they still were applying the line under the number at that time. Go ahead. And here's the PS1 ad that shows it's obviously been doctored because the BN is a dreadnought end on the real 783, and the word Monon is not spelled out on the end of the car. And so the ad is one of those things that buyer beware sort of thing. This is not a real accurate representation of the car, but it shows the standardization was practical.
Looked like it had a different door too.
Uh, yes. Yeah.
Go
hang
back,
on.
look at that door.
Oh, you're right. It does. You're right.
It's a 7 panel
I think it's 5.
That is correct.
or 5 panel. No,
Yes.
I don't know. 1, 2.
I think it's 5.
It's
Yeah, it
five.
looks like 5.
Obviously somebody's imagination, because the 783 had the,
You know, it's those marketing guys.
yeah, it is. Yeah, I get there. And probably nobody noticed until a bunch of rail fans, 50 years after the railroad is gone, that we figure this stuff out. So, um, so the best to start with 783 is nothing more than a KD undecorated car. So let's get a 40-foot PS1 and go to the next slide. The hard part is got to cut one of the ends off. So it's got to be the B end you cut off, and do that with a fine tooth saw like you see there. And I've got some clamps and some sanding blocks. I like those sanding blocks. I made them myself. They're 120 and 240 grit sandpaper. And I've got 400 and 600 grit, and it's just a small block of wood, and I glued a piece of the appropriate sandpaper on there, and they're just easy to get and work with. So I recommend those to you. Easy to make. Go ahead to the next one. There they are. And I have to write on them so I know what grit they are. Go ahead. Here's where when we add the end, when you take the branch line end and add it to the Pullman car or the KD PS1, there's just not quite enough end up at the top. So you have to add a strip of 020 by 040. And I actually added 2 strips there and just got them to butt in the middle. I'm not trying to, just saved me trying to measure it and get it right and fail a couple times before I did. So, and you can fill whatever gap you have at the top with putty, and it won't show anyway. Then I had to fill a few holes, as you can see there, with the 61 drill and the 030 plugs, or 035 plugs. So, but that end basically matched up pretty well finally. And there you see I prepped the end before I put it on. Go ahead. And if you got a spot that doesn't do real well, the sides are smooth, so you can add a little putty there and get away with it on the sides. Now, remember, we're sacrificing the rivets on the side of the end anyway, because they're not any good, and I'm going to replace them. So you can sand all that you want and get it as smooth as you want to get it. Bad time if you're doing much of this to have the handrails on here, and so you probably want to take those off because it'll interfere with painting anyway. Go ahead. And now this was the easy part, really. Once I got that end on there and I got the appropriate rivets added, which was from Archer again, 3 rows of them, I was able to fit the KD ladder, retainer valve line, and the handbrake equipment to the end of the car and get it to come out right. Then also grab the tack board and the KD grab irons, except down at the bottom, and I used the Tichy brass ones down there, and basically that's where all these details came from. The air hose is the KD air hose, and I believe the cut lever is too, because that's part and parcel of the KD model itself, and I didn't have to build that. Go ahead. Yeah, here's that row of rivets for the end that, like I say, they're just not that good on the branch line molding, so it's a good idea to replace them. Go ahead. That's what it looks like underneath. One thing I do when I'm building a model, I've got a small drawer full of old trucks that I don't use, and they don't have any wheels in them, and I mount those on the model so I can set the model down and it doesn't hit the brake gear or the steps or anything like that. I call them shop trucks. and some of them are even painted orange and red and whatever. Sometimes I paint a car with the shop trucks on it. So just a way to protect everything underneath. Go ahead. And that's what 783 looks like after you apply all the painting stuff we talked about before. Um, I've never been able to convince KD to do this car either. They're all afraid of the camel door, I believe, and they don't want to paint that SIE on the stripe at the top over that camel door. And I'll admit it's not easy to decal it, but you can do it. Go ahead. Last one, and I'll try to go fast. It's past my bedtime. Uh, is based on this car you see behind the pole there. I had a heck of a time getting a look at that thing, but it caught my eye. And the reason it caught my eye, go to the next slide, is it has that 5-panel door that we spotted in the last car. The Monon did not normally have cars with 5-panel superior doors. That was a cheap replacement door. But this car was brought in and refurbished, and it looks like it got new doors. And then they applied the signature paint scheme, and it was during the right after the 1956 name change, so there's no MON, and they felt like the MONON would do it, and then applied the number 9006. Go to the next one. By the way, that's snow on top of the car. So this car started out as one of the first of 150 steel box cars purchased by the Monon. Excuse me, in 1941. And they were built by Pullman Standard to the 37 AAR design. Go ahead. So the 9006, we start with a 37 AAR car from Intermountain. And this project describes how to upgrade and update that to get the model that we want. So let's head into it. We already discussed the KD couplers that I prefer to use, and you can see there's the coupler cut lever has been installed in the lower lip of it, so you can see how that's done. Go to the next one. KD bracket grabs, a must. However, once you've got them fitted, you want to take them out because they interfere with painting the car, and you want to put them in after the car's painted. Also had to beef up the side sill, which is easy to do with 020 by 060 strips or 080 strips of styrene. Sometimes you have to use them. They're a little bit large. You have to shave them down just a tad once they're installed. But they're a pretty good fit, and they're stable. They don't want to break off or anything. They're just the right size to fit on the thickness of the body. Go ahead. The 020 by 020 strips used to beef up the bolster tabs. That's something that you see on some cars, but not all cars. So you got to kind of watch for it. The cut levers are installed there, and don't put the ladders on because it interferes with painting. Go ahead. By the way, molded on ladders and grab irons were the biggest problem Monon modelers ever had in applying their own paint scheme, let alone manufacturers. So when we had separate detail parts, that really helped things a lot. Detail Associates makes good towing loops. They call them GE lift rings. So if you want to use those, you can. However, it's pretty easy to wrap an 012 or 010 piece of wire around an 050 drill bit and cut them off and stick them in the holes at the bottom of the side sill. Go ahead. The doors were a little bit of a problem. First of all, the good news is KD makes a 5-panel superior door, which I call a replacement door for the more common 7-panel superior door. Go to the next one. The problem with the door is it's 6 inches too tall. It was made for a 10.6 car, and the Monon's 37 AAR cars were 10-foot cars. So we got to take 6 inches out. And as you can see, it's just a matter of using that fine straw or saw and a square and make your knife scribe it first and actually scribe it and then break it out and discard the one piece and then put it back together. Go to the next slide. Reassemble the door on a piece of 005 styrene as a backer. Gives you a stronger joint, and it also keeps you've patterned that after a door that's going to fit the car, so it gives you the right size to work with, and it went back together, and it's almost seamless. The trick is I think you're sawing against a molding line that's already in there, so it keeps your saw or your cut nice and straight. Go ahead. On the running boards, they retained the wood running boards. These cars retained them all the way to the end, which was in 1971. So, irregardless of what paint schemes on the 37 AAR cars, they still had the wood running boards. So, this is how we treat them. Go ahead. They're made out of gray styrene, so you might want to put a coat of primer on them, but then you're painting them the color of the car. Then after that, you hit them with the 240 grit sandpaper, and that adds some wear and some wood grain into everything, and that's both the running boards and the corner platforms. Go ahead to the next one. You want to drill for the number 78 holes for the corner platforms, and we're going to bend those out of wire. Then you can enhance the part between the boards with a number 2 lead pencil. Just sharpen it really sharp and run it right down the lines, and it gives you a pretty nice looking board separation. Then that last thing is a pin vise that I made some time ago, which has got it allows you to put recessed bolt heads in boards spaced about 2 or 3 inches apart. So I use those on all the boards in the roof walk to give it a little additional detail. Go ahead. Here we have the corner grabs. Bend those to fit, stick them in. Take an 040 piece of styrene, lay under there to make sure they're about 4 inches off the deck of the corner platform. Add a drop of ACC to the bottom so they're stay put. Then, and it may not be as level as you would like it, so it's pretty easy to make a corner hook and hook that corner down and pull it through a hole drilled right below the corner and pull it down until it's level, and then kink it and drop of ACC, and that'll keep your running or your corner grabs nice and level if they're not level on their own. Trim it all up before you mount it to the car, of course. Go ahead. And this is just a review of the end details on this particular car. These are all the parts that are furnished by Intermountain, except I added the chain to the brake gear, and I like to use the wire rods if I can, and wire retainer line, copper cut lever, precision scale Harris bracket, and of course the KD bracket grabs. And that's a homemade tack board there, which is needed to get this car to look like the prototype. Go ahead. Just shows you've got KD bracket grabs there, and they fit in the holes furnished. If you cut 2 of the 4 prongs off, couldn't be any easier than that. Just a little drop of ACC on the 2 remaining prongs and stick them in after the car's painted. Go ahead. And that's the A end, same details. Go ahead. And the Archer fine transfers, let's talk about them for just a little bit. Whether you're cutting them individually or in rows, they work well. It's just a matter of how you handle them. The thing to keep in mind is you want to be accurate with how long you make your rivet strips or your weld seams, but you want to leave yourself a handle on the end, because typically if you cut a strip, you'll drag it across the car till you get it the right place and stop. And then you have to tweak the sides a little bit, but you need a handle on those rivet strips in order to work with them. So the moral of that's don't come real close to the rivets. That backing just goes away in paint. You can't tell it's there. So you can have all kinds of additional backing there to use for your own convenience, and you don't have to cut it off. You don't have to worry about it. It'll disappear. Just remember, put those rivets on a surface that has been prepared. I usually use primer, makes them easier to see, but even the clear Future Floor Wax just grabs them and seals them right down. Go ahead.
Quick question. On the rivets,
Sure.
are you 3/8 or 5/8 of the Archer? Which ones? 3/8 or
I don't
5/8?
know.
Don't care.
I don't know. It's the ones that look right for whatever I'm doing. So I would say
Oh.
it would be the 3/8 for the ones we've been looking at here, but there are some places where you use a larger rivet. That's probably the 5/8.
Okay.
I've got a set that's got them both. Did that help? Lester, did that help?
We're good. We're good. Thanks.
Okay. Okay. I'm probably not as precise as you are. I haven't measured their rivets. I just get the ones that look right. Now wait a minute. Here we may have a new dimension opening up here. I've gone from rivet counter to Lester's a rivet measurer. That's a compliment. To Lester, that's a compliment. Okay, where are we at here? Here we've added the rivets to the tack board, and shows you how to put the tack board together again, which we've already done. Go ahead. And there's that end strip that I just, if I don't like the way that goes together on a model, I just replace it. And you can see the big strip you get of all that. So they've got nice long strips. You don't have to piece them together. They'll fit the side of a car. Go ahead. And that's the finished car with the 5-panel door. And in service, I took this picture with it on the track. So looks like we hit the jackpot. I can't do anything about the telephone poles. That affects the picture. So I think that's about it. There's another picture of it over at the shops. And probably try one more. There we are. I've got to figure out what the handout is if anybody wants it. I think it just shows you all the types of Monon cars there are. That's a shameless commercial. Take that away. Just anybody that needs any Monon cows, just get with me and we'll get it all worked out. That's it. Did I get it done by 8? Wow. I got 9 o'clock.
Well done.
Thanks for your attention, and hope somebody puts a Monon car on their layout.
Well,
Thank you very much, Matt. Go ahead, Bob.
I've got kind of the same thing that Mon uses, but these are small craft sticks. Same
Oh, yeah.
principle.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, those work good.
Craft sticks? What are we talking about?
The sanding.
For sanding.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've got some sticks that I've done that with. But I like the blocks a lot better if I'm doing a big surface. But yeah, if there's little places, those little sticks are good.
Yeah.
Well,
I've made the same thing.
I've got the blocks as well, but these come in handy at times.
Sure
Oh,
do.
yeah. Yeah.
Hey,
All right. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Mike.
Mike Shockley in Peoria. What
what do you tape your sandpaper to your blocks with?
I just use craft glue,
Or I'm sorry, what glue do you use?
either craft glue or Elmer's, either one.
Yep.
How do you keep it
For the
from
sandpaper to the
being,
block.
you just smooth it out real good on the block before you put
Yep.
it down? I mean,
Yes.
it seemed like it would, if the wrong glue would bubble up or something. I don't know.
Nope.
It,
Yeah.
well, it hasn't, but you might be right if you used the wrong glue. But I think I used Elmer's, and I just pressed it
Okay.
really hard, and
All
whatever
right.
whatever excess kind of seeped out the edges.
Then do
Yeah.
you throw the blocks away or just put another sandpaper on top of the sandpaper?
Oh, my.
I haven't got that far yet. I
Oh,
would
you haven't worn
probably
out the
start by
sandpaper
putting,
yet?
no, I'd probably start by putting fresh sandpaper on the other side, but I
Oh,
know I'm
okay,
too
sure.
cheap to put the blocks away, so they'll probably get refaced. I'll probably scrape them off or something.
Right.
Mont, that means you got to build more cars at a quicker rate.
I know. I'm falling behind.
Bob Wondrock in the South Central Wisconsin Division. I picked up a CIL #1 boxcar somewhere. I don't know if it was at a swap meet. I'm wondering, was that commercially produced at one time?
The only ones that have been commercially produced are bogus.
No. Well,
If that
I'm
helps.
wondering,
Well, yeah, it has been commercially produced. People were eager to make that car, so they'd put the paint and lettering on anything they had.
no, it looks like an old blue box that it was put on, but it's the only Monon car I've got in my layout. So I thought it was kind of interesting. First of all, I thought it was out of place because I model the early 1950s Sioux line. And then after your presentation, I thought, wow, if that existed back in the 40s and it was all over the place, I guess it's appropriate to find it on my layout.
It absolutely would. It very well went on to the Sioux line.
This
Excellent.
looks
Go
like
ahead, Mike.
a great candidate with the smooth and everything. It looks like a great candidate for scratch building.
Could do
And
it.
you
Well,
almost
you
got
hate
there anyway. If you'd started with flat styrene, you'd have been there. But um, that was an amazing principle, and I'm sure it'll be applicable to any other railroad too. I'm glad to find out about the KD grab irons because I've noticed them in some cases, but I never known where to get them. So I appreciate that a lot.
KD sells all that separately now. The modeling community kind of, with the right people there, was receptive to that, and you can buy that whole brake assembly in one piece and put it on.
Yep.
It's really I almost do it, but I like to make my brake rods out of wire, and I still don't. But that's awfully easy to do, is use that stuff. It's good. It's nice.
Maybe I can get off center.
Yeah, if you order
Well,
directly from KD, they'll ship it usually many times in the same day. All you gotta do is jump on the phone too. You don't have to use internet. And they'll fill the order usually in the same day.
yeah, they've always been very good, and I know our friend retired, so I don't know who you even talk to now, but they're still very service oriented,
You're talking
and their
Sam,
products are
Sam
great.
Clark, Sam.
Sam Clark, yeah, that's who it was.
Yep, he's deceased now. Rest in peace.
I
Oh, I
had
didn't
the
know that.
privilege of talking with those guys' daughter. One of the guys' daughter was one of the founders of KD, and Neil or Keith, and the daughter was at the booth, I think at 2023 in Dallas, and it was really neat to talk to them.
Yeah, they've made a life out of it.
Absolutely.
Well deserved. It's fantastic parts.
Well, thanks everybody. I appreciate you guys sticking with us. And Mont, thank you very much for the presentation. We're going to be off the next 2 weeks. I'm traveling next week, and then we'll be off for Thanksgiving. We'll get together again. What is that, December 4th or something like that? And I think we're going to have Rich Mahoney doing a thing on tank cars. If you know Rich, he's an expert on that, and so I think we've got him lined up but I will send the mailing out. If you're new to this and you want to get on these calls weekly, just send me your email address. My email address is in the chat, and I'll put you on the list and send the reminder when I remember. Thanks again, Mon. Have a great night. We'll see you again soon.
Good night.
Thanks,
Good night,
Mom.
everybody.
Good night.
Thanks, guys.
Good night.